Hey, I want to share a special experience I just had. Um, I was driving home from a meeting with some friends and colleagues, and I pulled into the grocery store to get a couple bananas and some mixed greens. And when I walked up to the grocery store, I saw this woman with tremendous pain in her eyes, but also this deep sense of love and hope. And she was standing out front of the grocery store. And as I was walking in, she said very quietly and graciously, she said, "Excuse me, do you happen to have any change?" And I looked in my hand, and I actually had $12 in toonies and loonies and coins. Um, and so, I needed to grab a few items, but I gave her $2. And then when I went into the grocery store and I bought the bananas and the mixed greens, I came out and I had $4.50 left over. So I found her and I gave her the $4.50, and the look in her eyes, like the amount that it meant to her, there was definitely an experience of relative value. Because that 450, that $6.50 to her, um, was far more critical than it was for me. And so I hopped in my car, and it's a beautiful summer's night. I had the sunroof open, and I was listening to really groovy and wonderful beats by Birds of Mind. And I was driving home, and I thought, like, I could do so much more for her so easily. Um, and one of my good friends, Lucas, um, he once shared with me, it seems like a pretty intuitive and obvious philosophy, but one that I think many people don't practice. In that, like, we when someone asks you for money on the street, you aren't always in the position to give it to them. And if you responded to every request, I mean, you might end up having to ask for money, right? So Lucas's approach is he oftentimes just asks the person, like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then he'll sit down with them and speak with them. And you can imagine that human interaction, that recognition that the individual who's been panhandling all day, how beneficial that recognition could be for one's self confidence and self esteem, and just the way that they'll be able to navigate through the world from that point forward. So that interaction can be far more meaningful than any small amount of money that you might provide that person with. So on my drive home, I decided to turn around and to actually pull back into the grocery store. And I had $100 bill in my wallet, and I just knew, like, this is gonna mean so much more to her than it is to me. And so I got out of my car, and I saw that another woman had given um, the original woman who I'm referring to, some food. And so I walked up to the woman who I had given the $6.50 to prior to, and I said, "Hey, can I ask you what's going on? Like, what you're experiencing and what you're going through?" And with tears in her eyes, she said, "Yeah." She's like, "My ex-husband's not paying child support, and I have two girls and a brand newborn. Um, and I don't have the money, and I'm going to get it. I will take him to court. I am resilient, and it's okay, like, it's okay. I don't need you to feel sorry for me. um, I will get it, but I am out here, and I need to, I'm trying to make something so that I can take care of my children until hopefully just next week." And I said, "That sounds really tough." And she said, "Yeah," with tears in her eyes, and she rubbed it, but she's like, "It's okay. and it will be okay. And then I was like, well, I'd like to give you a little something more to help, and hopefully it does that. And so I pulled $100 bill out of my hand and out of my pocket, and I handed it to her. And she immediately started crying and saying, she's like, oh my goodness, like, oh my goodness. And then just squeezed me so tight and hugged me. And then she backed away. She's like, thank you, thank you. And then she said, I can't accept this. I can't accept this. And I said, yes, you can. It's yours. And she was just like, wow, like, thank you so much. And she hugged me again with tears in her eyes. And she said, I'm going to go home now. I'm going to go home and be with my children and get them some food and take care of them. I said, that sounds wonderful. And then I asked what her name is. And I might be mispronouncing it, but she said it is Ijoba, I think. She's like, my name's Ijoba. In English, it means hope. And then she hugged me again. And I said, my name's Michael. And she said, when I saw you approach, I thought you looked like Jesus Christ. And I didn't want to ask you for the money. And I said, well, it's a good thing you did. Sometimes you just need to ask. And yeah, she's like, yeah, it means hope. And thank you. She's like, I'm going to go home now. And she gave me another hug. And then I walked back to my car and became flooded with tears of joy. And I'm now filled with hope. And all I did was hand over a piece of paper. And there's just now infinite hope. And yeah, I just wanted to share that little story. Not as a, I don't need any recognition for it. It's not that grand of an act. But just maybe to demonstrate the tremendous power and wonder and even the butterfly effect that can emanate and propagate from small acts of kindness that then ripple throughout infinity. And, anything you do that benefits anyone else is benefiting all things, including yourself. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with all of you. I love you.